Hello everybody, my name is Hope Maxwell and I am the founder of Spring Yoga, and today I just wanted to give you an introduction to tarot cards, a little bit about my experience with them, and any questions that have come to me, just kind of like go over them. So you guys, if you want to start reading tarot cards, you might find you want to do a course, an online course, or come to one of the classes that I have here at the studio, so you can start learning a little bit more about tarot cards and what they can be used for in a non future casting sense. Okay, so let's begin. First of all, the question I want to answer the most is that I get asked the most is that, are tarot cards evil? These are like a playing deck of regular cards. They're created in a factory, or they're literally like a game. That's originally what they started as, and they just kind of progressed over the years. They evolved into something a little bit different, and people, just like I could I could turn something into something bad if I wanted to, depending on my intentions. And so if you feel that they're going to be evil, then maybe you're inviting in some kind of lower vibration that is going to make whatever comes to you seem evil. We here at the studio, we teach that using these are for self-discovery, and that we're trying to find out a little bit more about ourselves, our behavior patterns, things that kind of make us tick, things that are not serving us, how to work through these particular issues, problems, situations. And mostly it's about us. It's not about others. Although sometimes these characters can come into play because of the energy it's how the energy of those person, situations, things are affecting your energy. So that makes sense. But this is the original deck, and the Rider-Waite. And this is the one that people typically start off with, because, it's kind of like the base model. All right. And it's not the original one that I started off with. And this is why I talk to you a little bit about this, because the first deck that I got, which I freaking love and I still have, is actually the Ananda Tarot. And it is been through a lot. It actually got flooded on, so it's very thick and like very used. And when I got this deck, first of all, let me say, I recommend you buy the Rider-Waite or something very similar. Like, I have another deck called the Connolly. I'll show you this. Because as a new reader, you're trying to figure out what the cards mean, right? And when you start getting into some of these more decorative, elaborate decks, it's a little bit harder. Or you can find one that is very obscure, which is the case with mine, the very first one I got. If I looked at this card, I'm probably going to have to look up what the meaning is, just so I know what it means. Because the way we read them is we're intuitively reading them. So you're looking at the card before you look up the meaning and seeing what that card is trying to tell you without knowing what the meaning is. And there's an important factor to this way of reading, okay? So when you're working with yourself and you're working with others, the subconscious mind is heavily used here. Okay, you're taking in everything that's happening in your life or a particular situation, depending on the kind of reading you're doing, and you're trying to find out what's going on, what's the root causes, what's the energy surrounding, the energy of the people that are surrounding, or what other elements that are causing this thing to happen. And if you know, a lot of times you can find, by looking at a card, you use a subconscious mind, so that person is seeing what's happening in this card. So for instance, I might say, oh, there's this young guy and he's holding up this pentacle, like it's very important to him. He's you know, in the field, everything around him is yellow. You know, there's some flowers blooming, and he's very strong, and he knows that this star is, or a star or pinnacle, however people see it, is very important to him. So you're pulling out the details of the card, okay? And then, so I'm going back to my deck of cards here, and, you know, when I first got this, I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? This is some crazy, you know, obscure artwork or abstract artwork. So that's the reason why I suggest that you get a regular deck at first, or you get 2 decks and work with both of them at the same time. But what you're going to do is, you know, everybody wants to dive in and study all the meanings and descriptions, and that's really a hard way to learn it. And so hopefully in my course, we're going to kind of break it down into sections and make it more easy to take in, process all that information, so you're not overwhelmed by not only like the elements of the card, the pictures, the descriptions, and all this, like you're trying to remember everything at once. It's really hard. And we're going to break it down into sections, and you'll learn a little bit more about the Fool's Journey. Okay. The other thing is that sometimes people get tarot cards confused with oracle cards. And oracle cards are highlighting something in particular. And in this case, Alana Fairchild is using the goddess Isis for her focal point. And within this deck, she has, it's a very beautiful deck, by the way. You know, gorgeous artwork, and it's very Egyptian. Even like the back side of the card's real pretty. So in her book that goes along with this, there's you know, a description of what it's about. And then she also gives you more information, like incantation or invocations. Sometimes there's a prayer or a ritual along with the card. And I love using these in addition. So like oracle card for me can either be like a one-off, or I'm just pulling one card. You know, I'm thinking about something and I want to pull the one card and I'm going to see what it tells me. And usually it's pretty spot on. And then I could choose to do the incantations or the spells to go along with that. Okay. I have another deck. It's an oracle deck called Spell Casting. And this is kind of similar. This is more about magic and maybe pagan. It's really pretty too. And I kind of use it in addition also same way. And like in her book, we'll have a guidebook, and she'll have the guidance, the incantation, the magical meanings, or a little spell you can do to go along with it. So just so you can kind of understand the difference when you are like start thinking about starting this, you know, this is kind of like the intro to figure out what the heck you're doing and what you're about to get into. And I'm not gonna lie, I love tarot cards, and I'm always finding ones that I'm attracted to, so I gotta like chill myself out. But I also use them here in the studio. And there's other things that we'll discuss later on. This is just kind of like the basic, what you need to know about if you want to start reading tarot cards. And it's not the version of the gypsy woman with the crystal ball telling you your future. This is about really diving deep into yourself and figuring out who you are, what you want, and where you're headed. So with that being said, I think that kind of covers a little bit about tarot cards, my course, and I'll eventually have that linked. I'm actually building it right now. Will be available at an affordable price for people to do this wherever and at their own pace. And that's one of the important things that I wanted to accomplish and I'm working on now, so be patient with me. Until next time, namaste.